Look at the beautiful artwork. This jewelry is art extraordinaire. Ah, this is the work of Dr. Shirley De'Vard. She's a jewelry maker. And we would like to welcome you to the Crafty View. And my guest today, as I mentioned, is Dr. Shirley De'Vard. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Okay. We'd like to see you on the screen, so I'm going to ask that. Okay, here we go. Now everybody can see us.
Okay. There we are.
There she is, Dr. Shirley De'Vard. And she is, as you can see, she makes the most luscious, you almost want to eat a piece of that wonderful, wonderful jewelry. And are you wearing a piece of your art?
This is a piece of my wire crochet jewelry, some that I created. And when I decided I was wearing pink today, I thought, oh, let me go get my special pink necklace. So this is one of my creations.
Wonderful. Well, as you've probably already guessed, if you're on this channel, you're listening to The Crafty View. I'm Diane Williams, the host for today's show. And here with me is Shirley De'Vard, and she is a jewelry crafter. Shirley, would you tell us a little bit about your art form? What is it that you do? And do you only do one thing? Do you just make jewelry, or are you able to transform that into other things as well?
It's interesting that you ask, because I do lots of different things throughout my life. I've enjoyed sewing, I've enjoyed crocheting, I've painted, I've done a lot of different things. And I started with the jewelry in, I think about 2004. I got really interested. And what got me interested in it was I had gone into New Orleans and went into the shop and saw this gorgeous work, so different than what you see in the department store. And I looked around to pick out a piece, and I finally found the piece I just had to have. And as I turned to pay the lady, I saw her sitting in the back, and she was making this jewelry. And I decided, if she can do this, I can do it. I put that piece down, came home, went to the library, and as they say, the rest is history. So I started initially with some of the pieces that were shown earlier, with the small seed beads, crystals, and stones. And then after doing that for a number of years, I did a little bit in metal with copper. And then I moved into the wire crochet, using wire to crochet stones and crystals and pearls.
Do you actually use a crochet hook when you're crocheting the wire?
I do. And it's the same hook that's used when a person uses thread to crochet. The only difference is, instead of using thread, I use wire. And my wire comes on a spool like this. So I thread my beads on and start crocheting. And based on the design that I want, determines the placement and how many beads, in this case, pearls, I'll put on.
So your designs are original designs that you create yourself from ideas you have in your mind, things that you've seen as well?
Yeah, and what I'll do sometimes, I'll have a color in mind that I want to work with, and I'll go in and look in the drawers and start pulling out the colors in a particular color family I'm interested in, and then arrange those and see what I think I want the piece to look like. And oftentimes what I start out to do end up being different. So many times the beads and the process that I'm using will tell me what it's going to be. It's definitely going to be a necklace or a bracelet, but whether it's going to take one turn or another turn, many times it's determined by that. And almost invariably, I've never had two pieces just alike because it's awfully, awfully difficult. I like doing what I like doing as opposed to being repetitive and doing the same thing over and over. So
So
it's original.
you're the artist we should go to get that one of a kind design.
You're
Oh,
basically going to get a one of a kind. I just got an email from someone from last year from down in Florida. The husband wrote me to thank me. The daughter purchased a necklace for her mother. The daughter loved the necklace. So she gave it to her mother, and the mother and father decided they would get in touch with me to see if I could do something similar. And I told them I wasn't sure. I collected up what stones I had because they sent me a picture, and I shared with them what I had, and they said that would be fine. So I ended up making something for the daughter that was similar because I didn't have all of the same stones. And she loved it so much so that that father thanked me for, doing that for them, wished that we were staying safe with COVID. And that meant more to me than the purchase, the fact that they were so pleased with what they got. So yeah, most things are one of a kind.
that is incredible. I
Uh,
have to jump in away from my mental script because I want to share something that I know about you. You know, when you first came on, I'm thinking
uh,
it's the first time I'm going to meet you, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I think I've met her before. I recognize that jewelry.
mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, I recognize your jewelry because of the exquisite nature of
Oh,
your booth. I've been
oh,
to your exhibition booths and it is so professional,
oh,
well lit. It's like walking into a Fifth Avenue store.
oh, that's so kind of you. And honestly, I try to put as much attention to presenting the work in the booth as I do to the detail of creating the work, because it should be welcoming to people when they come in. They should be able to see the jewelry and handle it. And actually, as you say, it should be as well lit as possible because, as females, we're very finicky about what we want. And if it's a male buying for a female, that's a difficult thing to do. So he needs to be able to look, and re-look again. But thank you for that.
You're welcome. And with that being said, talk to me. You mentioned a testimonial someone gave you. How
Mhm.
important is building a customer base for you?
Oh, that to me is one of the most important things. Um, I have a lady, well, a couple of them in New Orleans. Every time I do a show in New Orleans, they will come to my booth and buy something. And these two are not together, but they have bought so much from me. I'm almost embarrassed when I see them coming. But when they spend time talking and sharing what has gone on since the last time we've seen each other, it really means a lot. And in some cases, it's not just the ladies who come back as customers. They bring their husbands and, they stand around and they'll talk. So it means an awful lot when someone purchases and say, oh, I bought this from you last year. And many times when I do chimney view, I have a couple of people who will come and say, I'm wearing my necklace I bought and I'm looking for something else. And I mean, inside I'm just gushing because that means they really like what they purchased.
That's true. And I've
Yes.
seen you at Chimneyville, and I don't know how you land that excellent visible spot where all the traffic has to come through. You do
My,
that every year.
my secret is as soon as the information is put out, I know I want to be at Chimneyville. I know I'd like to be in that area because people tend to go look for you based on where they saw you last. So as soon as I see that, I fill my application out and send it in.
Excellent, excellent. How long have you been a member of the Guild?
I've been a member of the Guild for 12 years, and I'm now a fellow member. So I've been there for a while. Yeah, I was so proud when I made that.
What did that mean to you to go through those various adjudications? Was it easy? What did it instill in you?
To be honest, when I listen to different people of note, like President Obama, listen to Oprah and different people, they talk about being reticent to try something or to start something. And I remember when the idea was suggested to me, why don't you apply to the Mississippi Craft Guild? I said, not me. They would never accept me. And there was this lady from Osaka, Mississippi. She lived in Baton Rouge at the time. And she encouraged me and another lady from here, you all should apply. You would love that show. Your work is great. And I think you'll do it. So I went ahead and applied and sent in the expect to get accepted the first time around. I thought I'd get some critique, then I'd work on it and apply again. But I was fortunate enough to be accepted the first time. And I was just over the moon, as though I had done a show and been successful. And then every 3 years, going through the process of being reevaluated, recertified, and getting that badge of honor means so, so much because you're judged by your peers.
Yes.
So.
Yes. If you could show us your work again after hearing this process that you go through and everything, we want to see it one more time.
Okay.
Yes, and we can continue to talk while the video is showing.
Okay.
I think this is just so incredible. And
now that's a piece that all of those are silk pieces. And those are wire crochet pieces there. And that's one that represents what I was talking about. Start off one thing and end up being something else. And that's another example of wire crochet. And this one is wire crochet. And you see the difference in them, even though it's made from the same process, they come out differently. And that fabric there is shibori silk that's hand dyed, not by me, but an artist who specializes in doing that type thing. And those are the seed beads I was talking about.
And are they wired in, or is the wire around those seed beads?
The silk ones are the crocheted ones.
I didn't know if it was crocheted. It'll pop up again.
Now these are crocheted right here.
Those are crocheted.
And this is crocheted.
Okay. Okay.
That's crocheted.
Oh, that's crocheted.
Yes.
Okay.
And so is that one. And the difference is what you do with them after you crochet them on and how many beads you put on to be included in the piece. And I've been told by different people that the silk ones look like taffy.
It really does. I told you earlier, it looks like I could just eat it. Excellent.
And they have a cording inside, so they keep their shape like that. And those beads in the center of some of them there, I beaded those and made those as accent pieces.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing your screen.
Okay.
And have you been mentored? I know you said you saw something and you just dived in. You took the brave route to learn how to do what you do. Have you been mentored, or have you mentored someone else? And what do you think about mentoring?
Oh, I have, and actually, I tried to encourage my brother to do this work. And he looked at it and he said he really, really wasn't interested. and he does macrames, wall hangings, and he does beautiful work. So I knew he would do this well. And he said to me, I don't think so. Then eventually, about 2 years later, he said, I want to come to Baton Rouge. He lives in Atlanta. I want to come to Baton Rouge and learn to make jewelry. And he came, spent a week, and we did beadwork from 7 o'clock in the morning until 12 and 1 o'clock at night. And he does fantastic work now. And here, when I participated with the Baton Rouge Bead Society, I was involved and I helped other people who were interested in doing beadwork or whatever. You know, if it's something that someone's interested in, if you can just be a support and an encouragement to them, many times that's all they need to get going, because most times when we start something, we don't feel confident and secure. And I always like to say, you know, if somebody's been that way before, they should tell somebody else how to get there.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
What is your focus when you're creating things, and does that ever change? I guess it does.
It does, because right now I've slowed down the last 2 or 3 months working on it. I've taught myself to do fused glass, and I was real excited about that. After ruining a lot of glass, I finally got the hang of it, and I started getting some pieces together, and I actually put them in an Etsy shop that I haven't really publicized. So I'm always shifting from one thing to another. And sometimes what I shift to, I really like. And if I like it, I stay with it. If I don't like it, I just leave it alone. It's a thought that I want to do it. And if I like it, I'll stay with it. And the fused glass now is truly what I want to work on and perfect.
And you would probably be able to include some of that in your jewelry making.
Yes.
Some,
Oh, yes.
mhm.
For sure.
Excellent. I want
Mhm.
to know a little bit about your background. I'm not trying to find out about all your college education, but I wonder if
Uh-huh.
you've been trained in the arts at all in
No,
school.
no. I came from an era when summer school for kids, when they weren't in school, summer school was going over to the local school, learning how to make bows out of records, putting them in hot water, and learning to sew and crochet and things like that, in addition to the physical activities we did. So we were always exposed to doing something. And I had a grandmother who sewed, but she didn't have a sewing machine. And I thought she was God incarnate. So anything she did, I wanted to do. So when she started doing something, she'd give me a little piece of fabric or give me a crochet hook and some thread and let me do it. And I remember making doilies, the little things that they used to put on tables, and the center was flat and the edges were ruffled up, and they put lots of starch in them and ironed them. And I learned to do that as a young child. By the time I was 12, I was doing a lot of that. And that's how I got started. But no, I don't have training as an artist.
Okay. Where do you do your work? Do you do it in your home? Do you have a studio space?
No, I actually do it in my home. I have a room that I've dedicated to that. But I can just tell you, with the crochet and the beads and the hook, when you look at this, many times I'm sitting on the sofa crocheting in front of the TV, even though there's a room over there specifically for that. No
I'm
studio.
I'm the same way. I have a studio, but I
Uh-huh.
tell you, I like to be on the sofa as well. And
Right.
when I'm looking at these movies and someone asks me later, well, did you see this or did you see that? And I'm like, I didn't actually look at the television.
Right. I'm hearing it. I'm not seeing it. Yes, that's me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
So
oftentimes, go ahead.
that brings up a good point. Sometimes people are reluctant to want to get into doing something because they think, well, I don't have any place to do it. Well, it depends on the art form. You know, you might start on a breakfast table or a kitchen table, or even, you know, a card table or something. Actually, I started on a card table in another house, and that table stayed in the middle of no man's land. And I would get up before I would go to work and sit there and make jewelry and then leave it. When I came home, I'd hurry and fix dinner and get back to that card table. So you don't have to necessarily think, oh, I need this and I need this and I need that. If you can just get the basics and get familiar with the process and you start to feel comfortable, your interest, your ability will tell you where you need to go in terms of space, materials, and equipment. You don't have to predetermine all of that.
Wonderful. How do you know how long to make a necklace? How do you make those determinations?
Well, normally I make them for a 16-inch neck or 18-inch. And when I say that, that's the length of the necklace, because I find that most women want something that's either 16 inches or 18 that come a little bit lower. And I just know from experience, if I'm using size 6 pearls, which the smaller ones on here, the smaller ones are 6 and the larger ones are 8 millimeters. So I know about how many of those I need to put on. Now, that's not to say I have put on a certain number, and instead of being long enough for a 16-inch necklace at least, it ended up being like 14. So I just cut the wire apart, take my beads off, and add what I need to add. And it's what I want it to be.
Okay.
And once in a blue moon, I do get someone to come in and say, I really like this necklace, but I can't stand anything close to my neck like that. Can you make it longer? And when I look at it, considering what materials in it, I will say to the person, I have enough to do that, or I don't have enough of those, but I can do it in that color family. So yeah, occasionally I'll do that.
So I've gathered from our conversation that you're a Louisiana resident. Am I correct?
Yes, I am in Baton Rouge.
So
Yes.
we have members of the Craftsmen's Guild from around the region and probably around the country.
Yes.
And we welcome you to be part of our group. That's awesome.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of, no, I want to ask you another question first. My mind is jumping. Festivals, events, showcasing your work to, like the Chimneyville. Chimneyville is what happens in December. The Crafting Guild gets involved with doing a show where as many members as possible come together and showcase their work. Talk about
Right.
other things you have done as well, other showcases.
One of the things was the Baton Rouge Art Market. And then, of course, the Louisiana Craft Guild puts on several shows. Currently, I have work showing in the Shaw Center, which is the LSU Museum gift shop downtown. One of the biggies for me was applying to Jazz Fest and getting into Jazz Fest. And when I was selected to go to France, that's what that article is from. They selected the United States to offer artists a trip to France. The year that I went, that was 2010. And they went through the Louisiana Craft Guild and selected 10 artists. And I was one of the 10 artists that went. The government paid for our expenses to come. They paid for our expenses to live there for the entire month. And in the background, those are individual booths that artists had. And that area was just for Louisiana artists. And we were there for a month, did not have to pay. Anything we sold, we were able to keep. And the other young lady in the article is Beatrice Bell. She was one of the persons who went also.
That was a fabulous opportunity.
Oh, it was beyond words, the fact that we were able to go. And for me, there was indeed a language barrier. But when I tell you, those people were beyond friendly. They were so friendly, very nice, and they would come in, talk with us, even though it was a funny talk with us kind of thing, because I didn't speak their language and most of them didn't speak ours. Some did, very few, but just beyond friendly. So that was an awesome experience. And I think just before we went to that, I was saying that the first time I applied for Jazz Fest, which is a very difficult show to get into, the area that I apply for is Congo Square. And I didn't show any of the African type jewelry that I make. And they have 48 slots. And I understand they have as many as 600 people apply for those spots. It's just hard to get in. And when you get in, it's a lot of work, 3 days for one weekend and 4 days for the other weekend. But it's a great experience, and it's really worth the effort.
Wow, that competition, meeting that competition.
Oh,
You want to bring your best, don't you, to the show?
oh, you have to, because I mean, everybody wants to come. They have people, of course, from all over the country. I mean, some people from New York who come over and over. Jazz Fest has three different areas. The Louisiana area, where it's like things made with Louisiana product. And then Congo Square is the area for the African diaspora art. And then of course, contemporary art. So it's, and all of them are small, you know, maybe 36 to 48 artists each.
Wow. Some people may know Congo Square as Armstrong Park, and it's been given the name, its original name of Congo Square.
Right.
Which was brought out by a lady named Freddie Williams Evans, wrote a book about it that brought it back, and they said, we're going to rename it Congo Square.
And I've done the festival at Congo Square lots and lots of times. But of course, the portion that's done at Jazz Fest is so much bigger. And then Treme, I've done Treme in New Orleans. They do that down in Treme area. That's only a one-day festival. And in one day, I do as well at Treme as a 2-day show. I don't know where the people come from and how they get them there, but they're there. It is awesome. So I do quite a few Louisiana shows, like Blues and Barbecue and the Cajun Zydeco. And then I've done several, you know, different ones in Florida and Atlanta. I've done them in, Denver.
Oh my goodness, you stretched beyond the region.
I mean, look, I basically have fun doing what I'm doing, and I appreciate the fact that I'm retired and I'm at liberty to be able, you know, to take off and do it. And if it ends up being nothing but a trip, I thoroughly enjoy the trip.
Excellent, excellent. Have you ever heard of the John C. Campbell Folk Art School or Penland, where people can go for adult enrichment in the arts?
No, I have not.
We don't have anything like that here in the Deep South that I
Mhm.
know of. But if there
No.
was something like that at the Craftsmen's Guild where master artists come together with either avocational or professional artists to hone
Mhm.
their skills, would that be something that you'd be interested in?
Absolutely, because that reminds me of two things. I've gone to what some bead artists would know, Bead and Button in Philadelphia, and spent a week there just taking advanced level classes. And I also went because I really want a scholarship. Trying to think of the name of the school in Gatlinburg. Um, an art school. I went there and didn't realize it was such a renowned teacher that was teaching us, but he really was. And later I learned who he was. So, oh, by all means, I think when you stop learning, you should be dead.
Exactly. I agree
I'm
with
all about learning and growing.
I agree with you. It's been so wonderful talking
Oh,
with you. I could talk with you all day.
oh,
If the listeners wanted to contact you, what
mhm.
would be the contact information that you would like to share with them? And is there any social media platforms that they can go either see your work or connect with you?
Yes. Actually, my email address, it's simply S and my last name, Devard, SDEVARD at bellsouth.net. And then my website is ssdevard.com. So you can go to my website directly, and I have an Etsy shop, Devard Designs.
Excellent, excellent.
And if somebody, wanted to call because they heard a portion of the information and didn't get it all and had some questions, my number is 225-223-6141. And they're more than welcome, to call or email me.
Thank you, Shirley. This has
Oh,
been a
thank you.
wonderful show.
Thank you.
I mean, people look for Shirley's booth. You'll know it is well lit and shining on all those precious stones, and you'll be able
Oh,
to find what you want and give your testimony. Thank you
I
again.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it very much.
You're welcome.